Welcome to this week's edition of Torrance Talks.
Dun dun dun!
Torrance Talks.
I'm recording that.
Just did a whole theme song for you and you missed it.
Oh no, I've got it, it's on film.
Okay, good. Well, I'm sad I did that. Okay, cool.
What are you saying?
What are you saying, Blair?
I need it.
What are you saying, Blair? No, you don't, because it'll glare on the thing.
Will it? Oh.
Wasn't it more professional? It was more professional, is it? Welcome to Torrance Talks with Huw Collins and Huw Collins.
Dun dun dun!
A small character from Pretty Little Liars who was an arsehole.
There is no small characters.
Okay, alright. Huw Collins.
Is it going?
Huw Collins.
What's this?
I don't know what it is.
Something.
I'm tired, it's been a long day. Alright.
So hey guys, I'm with Huw Collins, who was a star on Pretty Little Lies, and we're going to be having a nice little chat.
Not Big Little Lies.
Not Big Little Lies.
Often confused.
Yeah.
People get very excited and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, you were in Big Little Lies. I was like, no, I was not. I was not with the Oscar-winning actors and actresses of that show.
They're doing a season 2.
They are with Meryl Streep, and I'm like, oh, I would die. Okay.
So you mentioned on the Pretty Little Lie after show that you haven't always wanted to get into acting. What did you want to do before you turned to showbiz?
I wanted to be a pilot, first and foremost, when I was like a kid. Yeah. And then I realized that you had to be smart and do all the tests and stuff. And I was like, no, maybe not. My dad is a doctor, but in all honesty, I never considered being a doctor because that also sounded too much like hard work. And so I became a professional sportsman. I played rugby and American football. And then, I don't know, like getting into acting was a funny thing. Like no one in my family is theatrical. When I told my family, I was like, yo, I'm gonna become an actor, they were like, what? Like, no you're not. And it just like, I just had this weird like epiphany feeling that it was like what I was meant to do with my life. And that sounds like tremendously up my own arse, but I just did. And then I like went into it thinking, if this doesn't work out, if like people are like, you're terrible at this, I would be fine with it, because I genuinely would have been in that point, so I wasn't like attached to the outcome. And then people didn't, they were nice, they weren't like, oh, you're gonna like, be a movie star or anything, but they were like, oh yeah, you're pretty good, like you could do this maybe. And lo and behold, a few years later, I'm a middling TV actor, so
And you're
dreams can come true.
I'm very happy that you changed your path.
Yeah, well, I am too. I mean, I genuinely wouldn't have it any other way, so it's wonderful.
And also on the Pretty Little Lie after show, you said that commercials can be the worst type of auditions. What's the worst thing they've asked you to do?
Oh, that's a real good question. I can't, I'll have to try and think about it. There was a Burger King commercial I went in for, right? Ooh. And it was like in this like very bougie, like upscale casting office in North London. And I remember walking in and like there was a pool table in there. And like this doesn't happen that often, so I don't want to like give casting directors a bad name, but this was like a particularly bad experience. And like they literally were like playing pool. And they had like a camera set up and they were like playing pool, and they're like, oh, how you doing? You alright? And like from afar they were like, oh, how you doing? Huw, yeah, alright, cool, yeah. Just do like a slate. And I was like, let's do a slate. Okay, yeah, and they like made me do all these ridiculous things, like pretending to eat a burger or whatever. It was just like so dismissive, and so like obviously like a burger commercial is not like high art, it's not, but there was a dismissiveness to like your time that I found particularly offensive. I can't remember what the cast director's name was, otherwise I would probably shame him on this. I think anytime you go in for an audition, you want to feel like you are given a space to create something. And if you're not, it feels a bit like a waste of everyone's time. And I think in commercial auditions especially, like there is a great like YouTube like skit of a commercial audition where like this guy comes in and they just make him do like the most ridiculous like vile things, and like he does it because like when you're an actor you like haven't gained like the traction you want to gain, like you want to gain, like, and obviously you should have standards, but some people like genuinely are like desperate to make it in a way that like they will go against like standards and morals to do so. And like it's just a very funny parody that I am sure is not far from the truth in terms of like some of the things that people have done. So yeah, it can be it can be tough. Like it's a tough career, but it's a great career. I mean, I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah. Love it. I love it, mate. I do.
And other than Pretty Little Liars, you performed a lot on stage. You were in Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yep.
A Death of a Salesman,
Yeah.
A Picture of Dorian Gray.
Yeah,
If
that was
you
my
had-
favourite.
Well, yeah, was it?
It was my first like professional gig. It was like, you know, the first time someone was like, yo, I want to pay you to do this. And it was amazing to play that role. I like really wasn't qualified for it in any way, shape or form, apart from being like young and half decent looking. But it was a super cool experience. I mean, that was like, if there was a turning point as to me kind of being really pursuing acting and like taking it and trying to go as far as I can with it and believing in myself, like that was a turning point. Where I was like, okay, like I can do this. Like, not like, oh, I can do this, because anyone can really do it in some capacity. This is like, oh, I can do this and I can be like great at this if I really apply myself and if I, you know, am dedicated to it and I sacrifice. And so that was like a very significant, I love the book. I think it's a phenomenal book, one of my favorite books, and I think it just was the beginning of me kind of
Finding yourself.
really going to, yeah.
If you had to pick between a favourite though, TV or theatre, what would it be?
Does TV include film?
Yeah.
Probably, that's a tough question. I would say probably film. I think film can capture a subtlety in a way that like it is harder in a lot of ways. Although it's very hard to compare the two. But there is like a complexity and a depth to great film acting that I think is a harder craft, and if you can do it, it's just so effective.
Yeah.
You know, I think on stage, because it's a bigger performance, because it's a louder performance in general, because it's obviously a continuous rather than a kind of cut up, segmented shooting, you know, schedule. And there is great things about theatre in terms of being able to like do a continuous story and like live this arc of a story rather than kind of like, oh, okay, where in the script are we today kind of thing. But I think film also has the ability to, in a kind of reach sense, like make a difference to more people. I think like as actors, not to be too kind of, again, like up our own asses, but it feels a bit like you do have the opportunity to like move people that can like genuinely have impacts on their lives that are effective and like convey a human emotion and a sense of like being that is like you don't often get the opportunity to be able to like affect people on such a wide scale. So I think like film and TV has that ability more so than theatre. So yeah, probably film and TV, but they're both.
No,
I mean, you know, they're both.
well.
Well, thank you very much. I thought about it a lot. Read your questions. No, I didn't. Really.
So you and Ian Harding were friends before you auditioned for Pretty Little Liars.
Friends is a generous term, but yeah.
But you didn't.
I tolerated him.
I
tolerated him.
But you didn't tell him you were auditioning.
I did not tell him. But you know why? Because like often, you know, if you've got like you know actor buddies and they're like in a show, you know, you're like, hey, by the way, I'm going in to read for your show like later, and he's like, oh, cool, like, because there's like, it's just an awkward position for both people because you're like, you don't want to make them feel like, oh, like I should put in a word for you, because he knows how bad of an actor I am, and he would never do that anyway. And so I like at the point where I had auditioned and it had gone well, and like I think he had almost like spoken to Marlene already about it somehow. Anyway, and so somehow we got in touch, and he was like, "Oh, sorry, I'm not gonna show hands." And so he like kind of gave me a little bit of insight as to like, oh, actually, like they do really like you, and they do like considering you for the role. But it can be awkward, you know. You don't want to like seem like you're asking for a favor because you know everyone's busy, and everyone also is like fought for their spot in the industry, and no one wants to like ruin that by being like, oh, yo, you should hire my buddy, and then your buddy is like a disaster, and then. It affects your reputation. So it's like you just have to be delicate about it.
No, definitely.
But he's the sort of guy who would, I mean, help literally anyone out. He's the best, but yeah.
So I also saw back on the Pretty Little Liar after show, the craziest thing you've been given by a fan was a YouTube video of 30 reasons why to love Huw Collins.
It was.
Has anything got crazier?
I mean, I was very flattered by that because I often like whilst it is like to me crazy in the sense that like I can't even think of like 10 things that I would be like reasons to love me. Like it was flattering. It was flattering, but like you kind of, it's just a crazy moment to think like someone out there in the world who really doesn't like know you in a sense that you never met them in person, like will take time out of their day to like make something about you, or like even if to write a letter. Like, I always try and like read any fan mail and reply to fan mail, and like at these things, the conventions, feel like you're giving people your time because like it's just incredibly flattering and like unique. Like so few people get the opportunity to actually, number one, as an actor, work. Number two, work on a show. Number three, work on a hit show. And number four, as a result of that hit show, be able to like go and like meet fans and travel the world for it. Like it's such a unique, privileged position we're in. And I think taking that for granted, being complacent about it, and being like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go to like London, Manchester, and like do a convention because like they love me there. And it's like there is like a reverence. I think you have to pay that, and so I'm like very conscious of it. Maybe sometimes too conscious of it, where I like take like the most time with everyone because I just feel like I want them to have a great experience where they feel like they've had a piece of you rather than like, oh, I just went and they like just signed a piece of paper and I'm like, thanks, you know. So I can't remember what the original question was, and that might not have been a real answer, but. Oh, craziest things anyone's ever given me. I don't think anyone's given me anything. I mean, there's been some like great books and stuff. Like this girl called Hannah like made a book for me, and like it was like my picture on it, and like it had all these people who had written. It was like very sweet. I mean, all of that stuff is people drawing me is a real like, and some of them are super talented. Like they draw, and you're like, that is my face in an etching. And that's like again crazy in the sense of like my mind boggles that someone would take time out of their day to draw my face, not that like they're crazy for doing like it's super flattering, and some of them are incredibly talented, and I wish they would like actually do art because I'm like, yo, you should do this for a career, man. Like I'm like drawing stick figures and they're like Van Goghing it.
You and your wife Molly have opened up 2 boutique stores in York, Maine. What inspired you guys to do that?
So Molly is a fashion designer. She has her own clothing line called Staten Manor, www.statenmanor.com. That's STATENA. Anyway, she has a clothing line called Staten Manor, and she's had that for like 7 years. It was on Oprah's Favorite Things. It had done really, really well, and we got an opportunity to open a boutique in York, which is a town that her parents actually met on the street right outside where we opened this boutique, which is really cool.
That's so cute.
And her dad spent a lot of time there growing up, so we had this opportunity and we decided to open a boutique kind of using her clothing line and her taste in like gifts and clothing. Like she has insanely good taste. It's kind of ridiculous. As you can tell by the husband she chose. So we did that, and then like about a month after we opened, not even, 2 girls came in and were like, can we franchise your store? And we were like, we've only been open for like a few weeks, but if you want. So they did. So we did another store in Massachusetts, and I also opened a restaurant in August in York also.
What sort of restaurant?
Italian restaurant called 1652, and it's wonderful.
What's your favorite Italian meal?
The bolognese we do is like really amazing.
Is it? Because
like,
I'm picky with bolognese.
I am too. And when our chef cooked it, he's like cooks it for 8 hours, and it's like unbelievable. And I was like, this is unreal.
Did you bring any with you?
I did not. It didn't travel well.
I'm gonna wait for something.
I had some in a Tupperware, but I ate on the plane. No, I didn't.
It's actually something I would do.
Yeah, no, it's truly, the restaurant is we were lucky. We found an amazing chef, Rob, who trained in Italy, worked there in a 2 Michelin star restaurant, and yeah, we were really lucky to find him. We have great staff, and yeah, it's going really well. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and I will see you soon. That was a mix of speech and
you'll see me in about 30 seconds in there.